Good afternoon. Welcome to the show. See, we got Diana, Francois, Andrea, Andre, B, Rob, Don, Darren, Pat, Mad, Tara, Kay. Good to see everybody. Welcome to the show. We've got kind of a dry period in the market, right? It's grinding higher. Your longs probably making some money. I do recommend you be really careful right here. We could get an outsized pullback. The MACD and everything, very, let's say, full. We have the indexes and everything. The S5FI, the S5TH, the S5TW. Everything looking like it might be ripe conditions for a pullback. We've got PPI later this week. Expected to kind of be a dud. Retail sales, probably the more important number later this week. And we'll take 30 minutes of your request, as always. So without further ado, all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. Means, in simple terms, I make predictions. That's kind of what I do here. Sometimes I get it right. Sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes I stay bullish too long. Sometimes I stay bearish too long. Sometimes I'm early. Not always right on the money. Timing is the hardest part. Getting the price targets seems to be where I excel. You got to make sure you have enough time. Don't run out of time. And there's a substantial risk of loss if you put your money at risk in the market. So this presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling anything, including stocks, options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries. If you desire personal financial advice, you want somebody just to tell you what buttons to push, go somewhere else. That's not what I do. Anyway, moving on. Economic calendar. Like I said, we have later this week PPI, expecting our 0.2. We've got core retail sales and retail sales kind of expecting flat, looks like, on the guesstimate forecast. We might, if we get a pop here, this could be pretty strong. Of course, the news doesn't matter. It could be strong for the economy. The economy is not the stock market. So don't get those two things confused. When Trump talks about we have a strong economy, he's not necessarily talking about the stock market, even though he goes out and says, buy stocks. So anyway, Fed Chairman Powell also speaking. Could be the more important event right there. And as I've been talking to Lieutenant Colonel Goose about, nothing changes Fed policy faster than the risk of the interest rate, the DGS2, going up over 5%. So if this thing starts, like this is, you want to know what the Fed's going to do right now, not breaking out, not breaking down. Fed's going to keep holding steady. All right. If this rate starts climbing, they're going to try to get that rate under control. They're going to have to climb it. All right. Gets their attention if we climb up back up to 5. If we get above 5, really going to get some attention. This is a setup to actually go higher on rates. It's climbed up, retraced, climbed up, retraced. We could break it out. It could go higher. Now, if we actually start breaking down, that'd be kind of a good thing for affording things, right? I mean, car sales are down, housing sales way down. Things are down because this interest rate is killing everybody. It's hard to afford things. We've been used to zero interest rate policy for a long time. I mean, this has been most of my adult life. Probably many of you, or at least the memorable adult life. Hard to remember Hard to remember this back here. So that made things really expensive compared to what it's been. Things being things you have to pay interest on, like cars, boats, airplanes, houses, toys. If you can't pay cash, things got expensive. The funny thing is, I started doing this new thing called being a guru right here. I was like, this is going to be cool. And then everything got more expensive. That was a bummer. It's my life. Anyway. Oh, man. What would cause the 2-year to spike? A fiat blowing out. Nobody being able to buy the 2-year. So we need people to buy 2 years at the auction. The auction doesn't work like an auction like you think about an auction. Like everybody goes out and, we bid prices up when we do an auction. Well, when the Fed does an auction, they're actually bidding prices down. And the less participants we have, the rate goes up until we actually get somebody to buy those treasuries. That's kind of the way an auction in treasuries works. So I found a new interesting ticker if you need to park cash. Came across this one today. It's an interesting, I think it's pretty interesting ticker. Now check this out. This is Bloomberg's 1 to 3 month T-bill ETF. Kind of jumps up throughout the month and then resets when they pay the dividend. It's pretty stable money-wise. It's a lower yield than some of the other ones I've talked about, like JA and JBBB. Lower yield, but it's also tied to treasuries, so it's more stable than this one. It's tied to bonds. You see we took a little spill there, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, this is a weekly chart, so this is not, in the grand scheme of things, it dropped from 51 to 49, and we're climbing back pretty quickly. Does pay a monthly dividend. This one substantially more at 6%. And then JBBB right here. Another place to park cash. This one does pay, where'd it go? 8%. But it is riskier with BBB, B-class collateralized bonds right there. So, all right. Good job, Rob. Good job, Rob. I'm going to take a screenshot of that. I know it'll be in the chat, but digging up the chat for me is rough. So, see if I can post that too. My team's loving the testimonials today. There's been lots of them. Sledge did really good today. Goose did really good today. Rob did really good today. I mean, anybody had a great day, let me know. Crypto was doing pretty hot. I haven't really lightened up on anything. I've got some strategic shorts, but for the most part, I'm still long. And I mean, let's see. I brought this. Yeah, that was today. Oop. Pull over. There you go. It's my Robinhood screenshot for my phone. Did this right before I came on live. I mean, this is the 50K challenge account, right? Long way to go to 50,000 a month. Long way to go. I'm not pretending like, but there's no volatility in this. I mean, it's just constant climb. You may be like, well, that's been what the market's doing, but it's not doing any kind of exponential, we're not doing anything too crazy here. And when you look at it right over here, I'll go to the month, 2.3, all right, 2.13, 100% win rate, 97 per trade, average gain. I think this is wrong. I asked them to check into that today, and they were going to because some of these trades down here report 0% gain, even though it's 100% gain. So I think this is going to change, but maybe not. Anyway, click on 1 month, same as the 3 month. You can see them change right there. Same as the 1 year. And this, I've used this account back in COVID times to play around and still hold a bunch of stuff. So that was back there, took some loss and just let it ride. Refunded the account recently and working on the 50K challenge. So if you want more information about that, check the posts on YouTube. I've got, you can follow along. You can check the trades for free here. But if you want all the trades, Turn My Trading Lab is where I post them and tell them. So if you want to know all the things I'm doing. Hey, Kimberly, my favorite subscriber, is here. So that's all publicly available right there on K-Info. You can check out my portfolio performance. Like I said, on the 1 month, 100% win rate. And that was what and this is the account. Double clicked it. Cool. And this is the account right here. So doing pretty good. 2.7%. That's $2,500 on a $93,000 account. I have put real money in there as I've gotten real, money I've worked for or been able to liquidate out of other accounts. Been building this up along the way. So it's going to be a years-long journey. It's not going to be fast. I've never, pretended like it was going to be fast. A few people are like, wait, you're growing that account really fast. It was at $10,000 and yeah, I'm like putting money in it so I can generate. The goal is right here. $50,000 in trading profit per month, per 1 month. So when I click on the 3 month, that number will be 150. And then when we get to the point where I click on the year, that would be like $600,000 a year. That's a pretty good number. How long is it going to take me to get that? I don't know, 5 years, maybe. Stick around, hit subscribe, keep checking back. We'll get there. So if you need to park money, circling back, need to park money, JBBB, JAAA. We've never in the history of bonds have we ever seen a AAA rated collateralized bond default. Never in the history. So first time for everything, but this is likely one of the safest places you could park money outside of treasuries. And if you want to put it in treasuries, Bill, there you go. Why does it dip? It dips because the dividend payment every month. Very reliable. All right. So there you go. There's a couple ways to play. Sold my lungs for some money. There you go. They do have a payment plan for TTL. I don't know what it is, but I do offer a lot of things in TTL. Everybody, just about anybody will tell you that the value is huge, way beyond what you could imagine. So, hey, when you need cash, you got to do what you got to do, Go stripping in the evenings, whatever it is. Anyway, that kind of day, right? All right. S&P pushing it up, definitely in the top of the danger zone. We're in that zone where you need to be really careful. Now, this morning I did mention we might be able to rally right on up to 59.89. And that's a dangerous place if we hit that. Very dangerous. I had some other gurus behind the scenes asking me, what do I think? It seems like this is really pushing up. This is getting a little extreme. It's like, yeah, we're probably going to do a 50 to 618 retrace. Whether we do it from here or up here, I don't know. I'm just going to wait for it. That's why a lot of my protection, I bought it out to June at least, if not July, or I bought one out to September recently. And I bought some stuff all the way out to 2027, looking for the pullback. So there you go. Those are it's kind of the outlook. We're stretched. We're pushed up. And if you look at this guy right here, this thing's pretty much maxed out. Pushed it up. Got it maxed out. You know, max it out here. 4 hour, the 1 hour. Getting some divergence. This thing's pretty cooked. Be careful. We have conditions ripe for starting a bigger pullback. That bigger pullback can come all the way down in this zone right now, somewhere between 5,000 and 5,400. That's kind of the next danger zone right here. If we dip down in there in a three-wave fashion and hold, that's looking pretty good for going on higher to new all-time highs. If we were to drop in an impulsive type manner, that looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a big warning sign that we may get continuation much lower, possibly below 3,800. What's the reason? There's no reason. All right, this is just one of those things that might happen. Yeah, Sledge, I was talking this morning. You weren't here. I don't know if you watched the morning video, but this is like one of those airplane moment things right here. And just a few weeks ago, I was like, I'm getting short UNH. I have a feeling we're going down to this target. And look what we did today. Right through the target. I mean, holy fudge, man. How does this happen? How does this happen? Like, I don't know. I didn't take any bolts out of UNH. You know, I don't know. I don't know, man. Hey, there's Sergio too. How's it going, my man? I'm unbelievable sometimes. Unbelievable. So be careful. We don't have to drop here. We could just pop on up. I mean, this is a real possibility. If we do this, the party's going to end faster than I want it to. I want to do this dip and give us lots of room to go even higher to almost like 6,600 maybe. Another it's only 700 points higher than we are here. I don't think we can do that from here. I think if we go higher high now, we're at the risk of doing the 2007 great financial crisis and rolling over quickly. If we can dip here, this would probably give us an up through the end of the year potentially, and then we do bad stuff next year. So I would like this. I vote this in a three-wave corrective manner, but getting close to the target area on Colgate. I haven't even looked at Colgate. Palmolive. See what we got. Apparently I pulled that one off. That, you know. We're getting down there. Craziness. Some of these are just, I mean, it's just wild. Like, and then we have the bigger move that was off that high. Right there. And we could dip on down. It's possible to come all the way down here. 78. Some nasty looking charts. I mean, look at that. Everybody needs some toothpaste, right? I mean, that's looking pretty horrible. I mean, maybe retail sales isn't going to come in very well. That's looking pretty nasty. Seems like DG. Back to the roadmap line. LTR. That one looks like it needs to retrace before we go even higher. OLL, Ollie's. That looks rough. Walmart. That's a warning sign. While it has the setup to go higher, I could easily do that right there. Take that off. Quit looking at it. It's not like I want Walmart to roll over, but I'll get the request here in a few minutes. I need to focus. And when 21.7 and this. So there's, if you go down and chart this on kind of a lower time frame here, like an hourly chart, It's hard to see that, but it poked out of this. We've been kind of in this channel, and we poked above it right at the end today. We typically do that kind of thing at the end of a move. We go kind of exponential, just like I talk about on the bubble chart. We kind of do that in the smaller time frame charts. Then we chop, and then we break down and come back. So the bubble pattern does show up in that smaller time frame. It's kind of like a blow off. And look at this. It went exponential, chopping all the rest of the day. If we break down, Russell could be on a way big downtrend there. Oil. Now this one could have done like an upside down. This one kind of went flushing out the toilet. Now we're chopping. If we break back, we can come back up pretty quickly. Got lots of layers of resistance right in here in the 60 to 70 zone. We're gonna have to break through that to get that upper hand and take this back up to the 100 area. So we're still grinding on that low from back here in May of 23. Can't seem to get through it. If we could pop through it tomorrow, that'd be good for going on up to the roadmap line at 68. Then we get the downtrend highs back up here. Roughly, if we get there in the next few days, somewhere around 73. And if we get through that, looking like we're going to take it back up to the 618 level up here around 100. So that would be the target area. And this was the, before we made this lower low. Actually, that's slightly off. Pull that back up. Yeah, right up here around 100. Before we made this lower low, when we were just off this low, we were at 105 was the zone. So we could see this pop on up. 105, 106, maybe even all the way up to 114. Then I would expect a retrace before we were able to take it on higher, maybe to 150. That'd be pretty crazy. So Brent also looking a little stronger here. That low from May of 23 or March of 23 on this chart is way up at 70. So this one outperformed to the downside a little bit. We could see it. This is European crude futures versus West Texas intermediate crude futures. So we see this pop up, break through that, could take it higher. Gasoline, this is already breaking out. This is probably, and we do have a very minor resistance to clear here. Probably going on up. This may not be a stretch to see this rally back up to the $3 area. Pull this down to the lowest low right there. Man, that $3.14 area. We could be back up there pretty quickly. This is, I mean, you see some of the gaps in here. What would cause that? Like a hot war in the Middle East, maybe? Yeah, Iran said they're not playing, you know, because said we're not giving up our nuclear capabilities. Trump flew some of the B-2s back to the United States ahead of negotiating with Iran. It's kind of like the negotiation with China was the shiny object they wanted everybody to pay attention to while they were not being so successful in negotiating with Iran. It's kind of interesting. Heating oil, which is diesel fuel, also looking more bullish. Coming up onto the resistance right there. If we get through, we can see this rapidly increasing there. So I don't know how you exactly play the distillates. You've got things like this, crack, which is the oil refiners. And there, look at this. It's already breaking out right here. We're already poking above. That could be a bullish sign right there. So I don't have a, I'm welcome anybody that wants to tell me, like, not an oil ETF, but a distillates ETF. I'm not sure. I don't have great ways to play that right now. I've looked for a number of years. Crack is about one of the best ones I found, and it's interesting. I think. I mean, you have stuff like VLO. They make money on refining, and they're looking better than a lot of the other ones like CVX. Not looking too hot. XOM, not looking too hot. COP, not looking too hot. So VLO definitely looking the stronger, and they run a lot of refineries. Valero, still a downtrend though. Gonna have to break out up through these highs right here. Really need to see that break above that to indicate we're going higher. That's the resistance. Yeah, see, I've got crack on the list over here. It's funny enough. NG coming up into the resistance. Now, was this the bottom? That timing wise, right time. Came up a little shy of the target. Got resistance here. Get above that. Next resistance is right up there where we spiked all the way back in March. You know, seasonality wise, we would expect this to slowly climb through December. It's typically when we spike it out, roughly just toward the end of December. So it's, you know, the futures prices are going to be priced low in May and a high in December. Pretty much, you know, April, May, high in December. April, May, high in December. That's the seasonality of natural gas. It won't just be straight up. This will be, you know, humps and bumps along the way. I do expect that's resistance, and it could, since we missed the bottom, we could come on down lower low. Right there. GC and Marathon MPC. Yeah, it was breaking out a little bit. Doing better. We did tag the downside too. Tag the target. Potential reverse. Resistance on that one is all the way up here. Man, we're coming into it, but watch out right there. Coming into it. GC, bigger picture. I was talking about this morning. I expect this to have trouble for a little while. Now, this doesn't mean that we didn't. I do expect us to spike a lower low here. It doesn't mean we won't get little, you know, rips that last a week or two on the downtrend, and possibly even a month. But I do expect us to eventually come down here. This is not a time prediction. It's just kind of a path and some levels. You know, the near term, I expect us to go hit this level. We haven't hit it yet. Then I expect us to come back up to this level. Then I expect us to work our way down in this vicinity. Roadmap line may be the bottom, or we may dip below it. 28 was kind of the ideal spot to retrace to. Why would that be? I don't know. Don't care. Yeah, the nut fly off the gold miners. I don't know. And so far, this has not been very breakout conducive here. Like, was this the correction, or are we currently in the correction? Like, was that the final little squiggle, the 4-5, or was this the A, the B, the C? And this move up and just sit here has not been convincing me we're doing anything. This looks more like the A, this is a B, and we might get a C down in here. Somewhere in this 27, 28. I haven't bought. I feel like silver has maybe the biggest opportunity for explosive upside performance of the year. But I'm just not convinced that we're doing it yet. And when it goes, it may just leave us all in the dirt. But I have this sinking suspicion that we're going to see one more dip, possibly to a lower low. I was really kind of hoping we tagged 27 back here. I would have thought we were all done, but we didn't. We came up shy. It's just my personal, like, just can't do it. Just can't get long silver until I just really want to see that final little flush. Kind of corresponds with copper with that move down, the correction, holding and drifting back lower, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. This looks like it needs to do one more flush right down here. Lumber, this hasn't, whatever the new contract for lumber is, kind of sucks compared to what the old one used to be. So can't even look at the old one anymore. Housing, did you know they have housing futures? Rocking it with all-time highs, even though supply for like DR Horton, we obviously didn't break down here. We ramped up. All new all-time highs right there. Metro area housing. So wheat and corn. Lots of people want to see Bitcoin, which just hovering. Staying in the range. We didn't break out, didn't break down. Inside day from yesterday's range. Just hovering. Could we pop on up and hit the target? Absolutely. Target would be right up in here. 116. And then we may pull back somewhere back to the roadmap line. Although by the time we get there, it may be up at the 94,000 area before we go on higher. Now it's possible we just do a small retrace, retest the breakout, and then go even higher. That's possible too. Doesn't have to stop at 115, could go on up to 120. If we just take off now and get up to 130 area, that might be it. Like if we pushed it up right now and just kind of stall out in this zone, 130 to 140, that could be it for this crypto cycle. I would really love to see a pullback right now back to the roadmap line because it sets up the bigger potential to go on up higher right now off of this correction we did for months. You can see it projects this on up in that 154 area. Even if we just retrace back down to 93, gets us to 162 on the next move. Then we probably retrace and do a final little squiggle right around 170. That's really what I want to see. I want to see that pullback. It just recycles the chart so we can get on up. If we pull back to the roadmap line, it could kick us up to 156, pull back to 138, and then the final push could be right up there, right around 195. And then we start the crypto winter. It's really what I want to see, but if we don't do a pullback, it makes the likelihood of giant upside prices just lower. Ethereum sitting right at this 618 zone. It's consolidating. Makes me nervous. Pull back to 1700 would be constructive, let's say, for getting those higher prices up there. We could go up to 5,000, but it's been lower highs ever since we made this high back here at 48. That was back before we went proof of stake. Everybody's like, oh, we're super bullish on that new change to the code. That move is tiny compared to this correction. And it's just a little blip inside there. And it's got a lot of work to do to be actually bullish. Doge not really breaking out either. So does give me some concern here. Some of the other charts, like S5TW, this is stocks above the 20-day, hovering right at the top. We already spiked this level almost to 90 right there, and we've been grinding right here. Last time we started down, I mean, all you can do is look at similar things we've done in the past. Well, we could have a prolonged period up here. Usually we do a bigger dip before we do that prolonged period. This one just peeled back slightly off that high. Usually when we do that, we experience a bigger down. It's just been the nature of what happens. Push things to extremes, and then we're drifting off in the participation as we've pushed the S&P up more and more. This has been less and less S&P 500 stocks participating. S5FI has almost made it back up to the top. This is worrying me. We hit the uptrend of lows. This, if this pops 80 in the next couple days, we're going to get a bigger pullback all the way back down to the bottom. S5TH came back up in the 50 zone, halfway back. I would expect this to pull back before we can go on up higher. The stock's above their 200-day. All right, we're to that point where we can request stocks. Please use capital letters. Use the ticker that I can just type in. Make it easy on me. Don't give me company names. And if you got a question about a particular ticker, use complete sentences. Don't assume I know, and try to keep it all together with the ticker. The chat will get a little crazy. I am going to prioritize channel members. So if your name's in green with the little star, you get priority. Once I get through all the channel members, I'll circle back and try to hit everybody else. All right. So that's the way it's going to roll. And one ticker per person per request. And if it gets down to like, I see one person requesting every other one, I'm going to start skipping you. So just so you know, don't try to dominate the chat, please. All right. So we already hit MPC. Mora is at the roadmap line. We're at resistance. Pullback would be normal. And we have resistance at 1970 and at 21. It's kind of the big zone there. Talked about on other charts. If we can get through that stuff, we might be able to go on up a little higher. Now, there's a lot of fibs and a lot of stuff drawn on this chart. This 2022 zone right there, it's like a combination of fibs. Right now, if we're going to go super bullish just on this scale, this chart, this, non-log mode, kind of the most bummed out chart we have, break through that zone, this big resistance zone right in here from 19 to 22, we could stall out at the 30 to 35 zone, and that'd be a bummer if that's all we did. Now, we go to log scale where everything kind of fits a little better. Not saying that this is more optimistic, of course. We could easily pop 40. And then if we got really sparky, we did break down out of an uptrend here. We'd have to break back into that, get really sparky and get to 100. That would be ideal, but we may stall out in the 80s here. Just retest the prior high kind of and not make it higher. That's a real possibility with how this is kind of become lackluster. Now, what I don't want to see is it come up here, hit that downside of that trend line and glance off, because that's going to be party over, and that could put Mara Holdings on a path to go out of business. Not cool. Anyway, and PDD. Cool. Hung that up. PDD is Chinese stuff. Remember, it made a high here, made a low right there. This is in the way. We closed above the 618 and the roadmap line. It could go up to 138. Could. This is Timu for May the Wonders. The de minimis standard. got taken away. Tariffs, no. Whatever the deal is, I mean, I haven't been able to keep up with all the finer points of the deals. Like, is Temu gonna play again? 141. If this was just part of the bigger pullback correction from this high all the way up here, we could see prices up to 180. Right now, this is a lot of lower highs. A lot of lower highs. And that, I would be, conservative wise, I would be targeting 142 before I went for 180. New breakout, new highs up here. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah. The government outlawing your business is like one of the only things, you know, that's why I don't trade stuff like biotechs and pharma, because the FDA, China stuff, they play by different accounting rules. And then you combine the fact that tariffs and junk on international stuff, and it's like, I don't know, Congress, there's like pressure on Congress to delist all Chinese companies. Could happen. CLF, just consolidating down here at the lows. There's just no indication we're going to do anything except maybe go lower. HIMS, that's been the pattern right here for a few days. Right there is the upside at 84. 84, 87. No change. Still on the path. Now, caution as we come into that prior high, since we rejected so hard so fast. Could happen again. FNMA. Trying to get FNMA. Anime. I don't know what I clicked on. Probably HNMA. That's kind of dead at the top here. Can we break out, or do we go on a bigger correction? It's not really indicative of anything. I would expect this to retrace back to the roadmap line, make a lower low than all those. But we've got kind of a triple top and a triple bottom in this consolidation, and we're just kind of sitting in the middle going sideways. So this is basically what I would call a stock at rest, and remain at rest until something wakes it up. What could wake it up? No idea. Low price stuff doesn't always follow patterns either, so be careful on that one. It's some of you feel like low price is the best place to play. I used to think that too. It's actually one of the most dangerous places to play. So PLTR. $137 is still the upside target, possibly up to 149. App 11 into the danger zone resistance. We got to clear that. I mean, technically, this close above will be the close above the 618, but we're in the gap, and we poked up, but we couldn't maintain the gap. Couldn't close above it. I really would want to see that close above the gap. Right there. Before I looked for 602. So be very careful. This could still bam it and jam it right down here. Five serve. Got to update that fib line. Got the high in place. We've got the low that may or may not be put in place. There's the upside resistance here, and then more of it right there where the gaps are. 214. I would want to see a higher high before I got in. I don't like the fact we just gapped down real big right there. That to me leaves a large resistance zone. I want to see that get above. You never heard me talk about gap downs. So people were buying here, right? Like it dipped down in here. People were like, all right. And we left a gap over here. So this like compounds the issue. So we gapped down, people like doubled down, added more. We rallied back up. There were people buying into that, even though it was a gap fill. People bought here. And then those people were selling to these people buying. And then the next day, holy crap, we're down here again, even lower. These people that bought here, they're adding. I mean, it's a psychological thing. You add, you double down, or you just hope that it's coming back for you. As we climb back up, you just want to get GTFO. Get the fudge out. And it'll cause it to pull back again. Maybe a higher low, maybe a lower low. This one was a lower low. This could go lower low again. So be careful on that one. Gap downs. Now, maybe like, well, what about, what about when it does a gap up, right? Isn't that some kind of support? Well, people weren't selling into this and then feeling FOMO up here and buying in, waiting for it to drop back. Like that doesn't make any sense. That's not the way the market works, right? People get caught, they buy here and get caught, and you just want to get out. That creates selling, and that's where you get things like this. It doesn't work on the other way. Like when you gap up, you don't double down on your, you don't sell more than you already sold all your, you didn't sell all your position here and then it gapped up away from you and you sell even more up here. Like that's not the way it works. And you wait to get back in. Like, no, that doesn't work that way. Like that's not the psychology of it. But these gap downs, this is why there's resistance, because people just want to get out. I sat through all that, came back up. I just want to get out. My good friend Likely is calling me. First name Scam. And so when this comes back up, watch for that to drop again. Everybody understand? You can ask questions if you don't. And Solana, USD. All right, David, I did the update on the weekend for that. You can go watch that. I don't really have anything to change your update from that. Cool, my thing's frozen up. We have to kill the browser. Awesome. Kill the browser, kill the browser. Restart the browser. I did a much more thorough analysis than I would do here right now. Right here, right now. Cool. Where's the button to restore? There we go. And we're back. And where'd the chat go? A coin. Well, MU is the next one. Let's see. MU. And we're just stuck in the zone. We dipped out, put our toe past the line, and came back right in the box. We took a few diversions up, took a little diversion down. Now we're right back in the sideways chop. Till we get up here above 124. Might just go more sideways. More of this sideways. There. And coin. Nice little move here. Got the high, we got the low. Coming up into the 618 right there today. If we can get continuation, upside target 396, 442, and the bigger picture off of the bigger pullback that we had back here, potential to come on up to 600 to 800 area. If we can get that, like we got to get that continuation. It's got to keep going right on up through that prior high, IPO high right over here. There may be significant resistance right in that 400 area to get through that. Wolf is pretty much dead. DOA. We poked the toe across the line. We're just sitting here. If we could break above the roadmap line, great. Otherwise, may go down to pennies on the dollar. Not great on Wolf. Tesla coming up into the danger zone. Right there. I did lighten up on TSLA. I added a bunch down here in this choppiness. I was selling puts and got put several hundred more shares of TSLA. Now I'm off of that. So lighten the load in a danger zone. Could pull back, could be the roadmap line, could be something deeper. This has been one heck of a ride up so far. And may experience a retrace back down into this 257 zone right in here after we hit. Could be up a little higher. Still, same zone. Doesn't move much. Even if we got to the top of the box, 380 zone. Still, same kind of area. Right back down in here. That would be what I expect. If the market pulls back, it'll probably suck this down with it. That would be my expectation. PLTR I did. Hood. Upside target. Still 75. Right there, 74.66. XYZ. Block. Hasn't made a higher high yet. That's resistance. Resistance right there. May go lower. Be careful. Not feeling super sparky about this one. Put its toe across that 786 line. Coming back up. As long as we're below the roadmap line here, it's still a downtrend. We could come all the way back up into this area right here and still get a lower low down here in the 30s. Be careful. Be really careful chasing that one. Reddit. RDDT. Bounced off the bottom. Lower high. I've been expecting this to finish retesting that kind of resistance right there. Came down close, but we didn't quite do it. Really wanted to see that fully test into there. If we get below there, we might make a lower low. Lower low than this post IPO low right here. That was not a bullish move. And this retrace is not clear so far. I do have thunder outside in the vicinity. And if power goes out, I guess we'll end the show. SWBI. It broke down. I closed that out when we broke down. It is barely a higher low. It's a downtrend. Could easily, so far, does not look very bullish off that low. Easily extend lower right now. It's kind of, it took a very bullish pattern, and then when we gapped down and gapped down, that was it for me. I stepped off for basically break even right there. It was actually a series of gap downs. It was a gap down, gap down, gap down. I was like, nope, not anymore. Wrecked the pattern. So if that one can resurrect itself, we'll see. But right now, that's just not bullish anymore. That's how they go mess up a pattern. And on the move up, rejected, and it can easily do an extension lower at this point. That extension lower, first move down, the retrace, Cool. Did the wrong thing. First move. Gosh, come on. Nice. Hitting them one day right there. Yeah, it's already drawn down here. So if we break down, that could take us right down in here to $3. That'd be ouch. Bummer. It had such a great potential. So many of them do. Like TGLS is like, even though I closed that one out, it's going on up for the target. Right there. Just crazy. Some of them work, some of them don't. They can't all be winners. Apple, covered that this morning. I cover all the Mag 7 stuff in the mornings. So if you missed these, and we're just sitting here below the roadmap line. Resistance, that's the 618 also. It's going to take a break above that back test to convince me we're going higher at this point. And I kind of give it a bias that we're going to do a bigger retrace on Apple. Be careful on that one. CRWD. The upside is 49. Likely. BA hitting those targets off that last, best I could do it. And we might see a retrace back to the roadmap line. More often than not, that's what we see. And then we set up the next extension. Doesn't have to do anything. We held the line there. BTDR and BitDeer. Most of the crypto miners are going to go out of business. Watch out for resistance. If we get through, upside would be right up here. Potentially 32. Win has major resistance. Couple different trend line downtrend lines of highs coming up right there. That 103 area. If we can break out, we could be looking for bigger upside. I'm not convinced that we're going to break out because we've been in this downtrend for years. It's been years and years. I mean, this would be a major thing if we could break this trend line. Look at this. 10 years we've been working on this downtrend line. If we break out there, nice upside potential. Could even possibly go up to 283. For the risk, though, that's not giving me that warm, fuzzy feeling. Amazon, like I said, I cover these in the morning. If you're not sure what the Mag 7s are, it's Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. Covered every morning lately because a lot of people like to know what they're going to do. This is stuck at this resistance zone right here. It's a high potential to retrace off of this zone. We scratched the top of that target area, but we didn't quite really get into it. This could take another spill right down here before this could outperform on the downside and then leave us with the outperformance to the upside. And for a long time, I talked about how this thing was lagging the QQQs, and finally we started catching up. Now we need a little retrace on that, little boom action there, which would set us up for the bigger potential way on up here. I just want to see it finish up an ideal correction to give me that confidence to get some long-term exposure to Amazon. And I can't do the work I would do for a 50K trade on here. That's just beyond the scope of what I would do. So sorry, Sergio. I could bring up NNE, but and just based on the chart I have, I would not. Based on that chart, with the arrow I put on there previously, I would not trade NNE. Too risky. AMD coming up into that roadmap line. So what I've talked about is I want to see this come on up to that 618, potentially retrace back to the roadmap line, maybe even a 618 retrace, a little deeper. Roadmap line come across, and then I want to see a bounce, and I might be a buyer here or here. So lots of things going on. This is just a 3-wave move so far. And we could see this peter out right in this zone right here and do a retrace. And if it overlaps this, that's not bullish. So it's got to do some bullish things here. This is a first move up, a second wave that retraces, a third move up. And right now, this is just into a corrective resistance. We need to see this come on up, retrace, hold well above this area right here at 98, move on up, and then retrace a little deeper to set this up nicely. So we're going to chop a little bit on AMD more than likely if we're setting up a bullish reversal. Now, doesn't have to do that, but that's what it looks like. Now, if it starts really performing to the upside, we get all the way up here, then retrace. That would be the opportunity wherever this kind of bottomed out and then started turning for AMD. Moving on, cold is, that's just natural gas, my man. And still a government company, SOXL is a leverage chart. We don't really, I mean, there's not much to look at. This is outperformed to the downside. SOXX is a better look-see. Remove 13 drawings. SOXL is just a leveraged version. This is coming up into that resistance. We chopped here. I don't expect it just to blast through. I would expect resistance because that was so much resistance. And you can look at SMH, get the same kind of thing. We're just coming up into that chop zone where we chop so much. Big resistance right there. USD, it's an ultra, also ultra, similar to SOXX, but this one's actually performing a little better. Major resistance up there. So SOXL, why is this not up here? And why did that consolidation zone drift off? Like, this is an underperformer. So if you go look at the constituents of it, underperformers don't necessarily just become outperformers. So something's wrong creating this one, causing this one to underperform. So look at, they got 21% of their holdings in US dollars, AVGO and NVIDIA. So go look at the constituents, AVGO. That's performing nicely. And then NVIDIA performing nicely. So why is SOXL so underperforming? Maybe not a huge opportunity here. I did have a target right there that they might retrace off of. Funny enough. So, TZA. That's a 3x leverage. Be careful on leverage. All these leverage things, be careful. That can outperform back down to the lows. That went a little exponential. Coming back down pretty hard. Breaking down, maybe a line of support down here, but be careful on that one. Small caps, IWM. Yeah, we're rallying up strongly. Could it perform to the downside? Maybe. And that major resistance right there. So go to the underlying. Can't really chart a leverage chart. So MSTR is stuck here at the danger zone where we had those prior highs. Right there, we're stuck. I would expect a retrace before we push on through. That's what I would expect. If we can get on through those prior highs, sets up the upside. Nothing's really changed here. It'd be 617, 688. Cool. Thank you. I'm going to take that off of here. So if you're trying to go to MSTX, you put this on here, 46%, double it, maybe 80% upside, round, double it and round down. So I would go rounding down to 40, double that, 80. So MSTX, when you go to that chart, you're only looking for about an 80% upside, which takes us back to here, back to the 85.90 area. That shows you how much outperformance this had on the downside and how much value got eroded away. This thing would be going to new highs, yet MSTX is making a much lower high. So now if this were to perform on up to 1,000, possibly be 140%. So roughly, let's go 120. So twice that be 240. So we'll go back to MSTX. 240% still puts it at a lower high than we had back here. So even in best case, we're not going higher high again. Unless something crazy happens on that one. A lot of damage was done on this correction. AAPL stuck in a downtrend. This is like the worst of the airlines right here. This one under the roadmap line and might go down. So you may have seen me play DAL. In fact, that's my best performing ticker on KInfo right now. If you go dive into what I've traded, the best performing ticker is DAL in these trades. I think that DAL's got a nice bullish case to go on up here. So I keep selling puts, making tons of money. UAL has a similarly bullish chart potential. Target's right up in here. A little higher priced. AAL though, that chart doesn't look like those other charts. That looks like a downtrend with increasing volatility here, so be careful. It's just not where the opportunity lies. All right, so you got to be careful on some of these. And that catches up with all the channel members. So I'll circle back up, pick up everybody else. If you're still here, if you left, sorry. SN, Shark Ninja. And we're sitting in here. We've confirmed that we could potentially go on higher. Nothing's ever given though. If the market pulls back, this probably won't be immune. But 135 would be the upside there. It's pretty simple. CNQ. And sometimes I put my fingers on the wrong keys. And come up into that resistance. This has been beat. That got beat down pretty hard. Pretty hard. Regular split. Right at the resistance, right at the 618. There's potential. I would feel a lot better if this got just higher than that one high. I kind of want to see it get higher than this consolidation around here, around that 48 area, and then the upside's only 50. Cool. Didn't even. What's going on here? It's my magnet jumping on there. Golly. Put it back in there. I want to see it get above that resistance right in here. Really all the way up there before we look for that bigger move to 60. just the opportunity just doesn't seem, risk reward just doesn't seem balanced for me on this one. So you just really feel some sort of need to have to trade this. There's much better opportunities in the market, would be my evaluation. ASML is still in a downtrend. Haven't even made a higher high yet. Coming up, we've poked through the roadmap line, but we've done that before. We did hit a downside target after me talking about it for a year, it seemed like. These highs are important. And then this high is probably the most important. So we can clear that 870 area on a nice daily close and not just take it right back. Possible to take this on higher again. 1200 would be the upside target. Right up there. With just a move up, a retrace, and a move up, I don't have very high confidence. I would want to see a retrace and a move up, and then another retrace. And that's the point where I would feel more confident that we could go higher. Right there. Lulu Limon. There's the resistance. If we can get through, beat the gap down, giant gap down, sets up the upside potential, and it's pretty giant right here. We're talking about potentially up to 600 on Lululemon. And Nike, actually, in the same vein, potentially bottoming out here. Now, if we break down, we could go down in a big way, but right now, Nike, big upside potential, probably have to pull that down to that low. 385. Everything might be Nike brand. And that'll probably have humps and bumps along the way, but nice big upside potential on Nike too. LDOS. Big picture. Big bounce. Clear the weekly. 217. And clear. Yeah, 217. LDOS. And QCOM still stuck in the sideways chop. Tried to break down. Right back. It's almost like MU. Still sideways. Still got the resistance up here. Path. There's nothing about that chart that says time to buy to me. I'm not a bottom picker, all right? I just like my trend pullback continuation. I'll take an opportunity, but this is not an opportunity where we made a higher low. That was the lowest low. That's one move up off of that low. One little baby move up off that low without much bullish structure at all. There's not really anything I can do with that. We need some sort of retrace. We need some sort of something. Just 1, 2, 3 so far. A 4 that held here, a 5 that went up here and retraced like that. Could set it up for something bigger, but just not seeing the opportunity right now on that one at this point. You could buy with hope and a dream, but TGLS already kind of touched on. DT, I'm off at TGLS. Dynatrace is a sideways chop, hot mess for 4 years now. Has potential to break up here and potential to break down here. And there's your upside 88. There's your downside 24. And as long as we're in between, stock at rest tends to stay at rest. That would be what I expect. TTMI. There's your high, there's your low, and target 33. Shopify. It's stuck right here. We did report earnings. Came in kind of in line. One of my favorite stocks, but I need to see a retrace. If this were to retrace right now, see, this did do, even though it's got slight overlap, we did a move up, we did a retrace, move up, retrace, move up. If this were to retrace, hold in this vicinity right here, around 90, be a large upside potential. I like that kind of potential, but right now, you can see what we've done in the past. We get this big flush out. That one was in October. That one was in August. Now this one is in April. That seems pretty repeatable to me. $73 bars. That one lasted a little longer. 121 bars. That one went a little faster. And we may see this 35 bars. This could last a little longer before we bounce out of here. Shopify, CMG. I think we possibly bottomed. We touched my downside target. I expected us to touch that and then take off to the upside. We got to break through the roadmap line. Already reported earnings. Upside potential. Somewhere in the 105 area up here. Now they are making a risky move. They're going to go where Taco Bell failed once before, and that's in Mexico. I try to go to Mexico and deploy Chipotle Mexican Grill restaurants. Is that a smart thing to do? I don't know. You're just an American company. Stanley Black & Decker slammed the downside. Even went down for a little gusto at 55. That might be the end of that correction. Of course, that could be 5 down. That's crazy. That low, that high, 618. Ha ha. I like it. It's one of those big upside potentials right here. Yeah, crazy move. Maybe they make all the tools in the future. They own DeWalt, Craftsman, Stanley, Black & Decker, Linux, Irwin. It's like going to every... They pretty much sell all the tools. Outdoor brand. That's funny. DeWalt and Craftsman, Black & Decker. Cub Cadet. An interesting collection of brands. Hustler and Troy-Bilt. They own Troy-Bilt too. Yeah, so I guess they could own all the tools. So, there's potential here. Roadmap line there. Break back above. Giant upside potential. Be a long-term play right there. BitX is just Bitcoin. All the things I said about Bitcoin apply. And you just take your measurements on the upside, figure it out, take that and multiply it out 2x for BitX. There you go. And if Bitcoin goes to 130 or 150, where do I expect more? I don't know. It's more is kind of standalone. I kind of gave you all the levels. 30, I'd be disappointed. 40, I'll be disappointed. 80, I'll not be surprised. And 100 is where I expect the top to be. If, you know, that's my bullish case top. So that was all the levels. It's, you know, not really dependent on Bitcoin's price necessarily. It's not going to move without Bitcoin going up there, but it's not necessarily dependent on Bitcoin's price. It's not leveraged Bitcoin. 58 would be the target right there. Resistance right here in the 50 zone for GLW. TTD has been kind of bearish and still bearish as long as we are under the roadmap line right there. Can still turn down and go lower. Have the high from up here, the low down here, and yeah, we're just coming up into that resistance. And we had the big gap down, so that's all the things I said about gap downs. Like that all applies right there. It's not even really a trade until we're above that, and then there's just limited upside. So for me, that chart made itself untradeable for me. ZS. Nice reversal. We're just right down to the top. If you come across there, just like, we just scratched the top of that. Now we're heading on up right there. 279. I was hoping to get down to a little better downside because that put the potential all the way up here, like 700. With that shallow of retrace, it's not going to be that big upside. It's potential, but it's more like probably going to get 400. The big retraces promote bigger upside. When you do a shallower retrace, it promotes shallower upside. Sometimes that makes sense to people, sometimes it doesn't. And entity, nanonuclear, looks like downside at me. Hit that one a minute ago. QBTS. After a big diversion to the downside, we're just right back up where we topped. Be careful, that's like 3 highs right there. This is just not the stuff I play with. Low price stuff. SPAC. Easily break down and go lower. I don't play with these kind of charts, so probably don't have great things to say. ACHR. Nice turn right there. Next upside 14. Forget that continuation right there. And TER. Got the resistance right there. If we come back up, and it may go lower. It's a downtrend. PLTR we already hit. BXMT, I think I already hit that one, but I talked about that this morning. That was on the list this morning. Just sideways chop right there. Probably go back to the high right there. Be the expectation. In the near term, HNRG. And that hit the target. So 1891 targets. Possibly an extension to 22. Back to the roadmap line. That's trend. Pullback. Continuation. Oklo. Coming up into the resistance. Still well above us. Making a slight higher high than this high or this high. That one or that one before we did the spike right here. Poking above, that's initially good. Resistance right there though. We get above it. We keep going up to 67, 56. Right there. GES. Yeah, coming up nicely. Big long-term multi-year targets, probably back up to 100. And it's got resistance right there. We're gonna have to clear. And we've got the 618 level, wherever that comes in, somewhere in there. Have to clear that to get that move on up. There's the high, there's the low. And 618 around 20. Then we may have resistance here at 40 where we retrace. So we got to break through that resistance. Got to get through this resistance where we consolidated. Then we got to come on up here. Then we may retrace, may hit this, may retrace. We're going up 76 to 85. That'd be the low end of the target. Potentially 150 if we got really sparky. Reminds me a lot of the way that SWBI started out and TGLS. Can it maintain? I did buy 100 shares at 11, I think it was. Maybe 12. Maybe 10. I don't know. About 100 shares. I'm just going to sit on them for a while. We'll see what happens. Could be a way down the road before we see what happens on GES. CLSK. Not performing so far. Stuck at the roadmap line, and if we can push on through, it's similar to Mara and so many others. Got that 618 resistance we got to get through to go on higher right there. I know so many people are interested in Mara. Clean sheet version. There you go. Very simple. Clean sheet. That pullback. There's your resistance right at 20, 35, 41, 60, 120. There's your levels right there. We may ping pong it around if we're going to get that item. Saw that one come up over and over, so circle back, hit it. FUTU. Yeah. Upside 139. HUT is dead to me as a reverse split. Dumpster fire. Costco. At that resistance zone where we gap down. Could easily retrace back to the roadmap line. If we can get through the gap, upside, back to that 11.15 area, 11.14. If we reject off of here, break down, we might see continuation back down here. Spooks has been sucking it up on this retrace. Went way deeper than I wanted to see. The resistance is at the roadmap line. If we can clear that, we're going to have a lot of work to do to get back up. And we've got a 618 zone in that same vicinity at this point. Pull this all the way down. Major, major resistance right here. For getting back higher. Got to see it break through that to get that continuation up. I am long this out to 2026. Way out there at, I think, 100. This has got me underwater again. I was pretty profitable, but I wasn't nearly as profitable as I wanted to be because my target is up here at 140 and then 200. And this could project us up there, but right now it's kind of sucky. Kinda sucky. Not gonna lie. So we made this move up, and we made this very deep retrace. Almost back to the lows. Kind of pulls it down to where we might only go up to 140. May only make it into that zone. Sometimes they mess up the chart. Has the best of awesome setups, and it just completely blows it out. NEOG. Yeah, I wouldn't touch this. That could go to 0 pretty quickly. And let's see what we got. That's a regular split. That was kind of like the beginning of the downfall there. Whew. I don't see any bottom in place. I mean, maybe it's just a big correction, but cheese and crackers. That is a wicked one. I guess the good news is support's right down here. Not far away. Only about 60% more downside. Then we could potentially bounce, but can it stay in business that long? I don't know. That's pretty wicked. Pretty wicked. All right, moving on. Main Street Capital is under the roadmap line. That is somewhat bearish. Watch out. Support right here. If we break below it, extension lower would be my expectation. There. Now, if we possibly break above the roadmap line and get above this right here, the upside potential would be up here. So there's your downside 46 and your upside 65. Not really big mover either way when you look at it. And NVIDIA closed above. We're still in that danger zone though. Be cautious. That was a gap up. I would want to see this retest, but it does set the odds that we may see this go up to 164 right there. JD. I already hit the possible corrective support here. So this is Chinese stuff. China stuff. It's just one of the 4 things that doesn't always follow the pattern. Resistance right back up here. Back up to those gaps. Could take us up here. Then we have the bigger resistance up where these prior highs were. I don't really like the way this chart. This is not the way to start a bullish run. Could easily break down and go lower here. The Baba also is in this kind of danger zone here. It did a very overlapping move up. This move could easily project it back down to a lower low. It's arguably the bigger of the Chinese listed stocks right there. AliExpress. Dell. At the roadmap line, resistance for the 618 just above us. Lots of resistance between 100 and 140. Big resistance zone there that we're going to have to clear. And Novartis is probably stuck in this watermelon seed squeeze junk. for the foreseeable future. IBM upsize 274. XOVR. And finally getting a nice recovery here. Claim to fame here is a large holding of SpaceX. Funny enough, when I see people talk about investing in SpaceX, nobody mentions this stock either. And other equity is SpaceX, so we've got like a 10% of the holding is SpaceX, then 5% in Nvidia, 5% in Meta, 4%, 5% in Google, 4% in Netflix, Oracle. A lot of AI plays, looks like. Some Robinhood. So this is SpaceX right there. So if you believe in SpaceX making a bunch of money, this has been the best one I found, best way I've found to play it. Next upside on that one could be up here 20 to 21. This would be a long-term hold. This would not just be like trading it. This would be like, I believe that this is going to turn into some big money type of hold. I've gotten a few of those right over the years. DG, potential to hold this little baby roadmap line retrace right there. The upside would be 99. And STX. Retrace to the roadmap line. Potential to pop on up here. We did do a big picture measure bounce. So there's potential going up here like 160, 180. Potential. Elf Beauty looks like we're still going down, down, down. Resistance here at the roadmap line. And I would expect further downside off of that. Looks like we finally played out the upside. And we're going to do the bigger downtrend back down. Take that kind of bubble back. Take the bubble back. I already did Apple. Pretty sure. Roadmap line resistance in the 618. And UNH. Target. GILD. We're at supports. If we break it, watch out on the downside. If we can bounce, 109 resistance and 124 upside. Not big either way. You already hit an NKE, TFC. At the resistance. Truist Financial. See what we got cooking. That was borderline measured bounce. Potential to come on up here to this area. I'm not sure though. That move up, that retrace doesn't look the most conducive, but could bounce. And which one did I just do? TFC, TXN. Nice pop back up into resistance. The big resistance, probably, gosh, update it down to the lows. And we're just kind of in this zone of ambiguity here. We're going to have to break through that zone up there to really get the extension. I'm not McDonald's loving it here. Did get the downside though. And a little extra gusto there. Gapped up. Got to get continuation. 234 though. I mean, it looks like set for 234. I'll think, sloppy chart, bias aside. MOS, strong move up. We need a retrace at this point. Need a retrace. That went really deep. Got more resistance coming up right up here. If we can get above all that, could be move up here. It's possible that this was a, I deleted that fib line, but that move up, this big retrace, 50% retrace, could potentially, it's not the best, might be a shallow measured bounce. It kicks it up to that zone right there. That's the potential, but it could be a long time. 2030s to get there. Near-term resistance, 48. If you're just playing the smaller move. And SMCI. As long as we're under the roadmap line, be careful. We left the bottom side untouched. We got close, but still a downtrend. Be very, very careful. I'm still not convinced that one's going higher. QCOM we already did. And show. And that was kind of stuck in the middle. Not very bullish. Kind of a tough market on those. HSBC, I don't think I hit that one. There's the high, there's the low. Just kind of stuck right in here. Those prior, that's, if we can get through that, if we get a daily close above 60, 64, 67. This big orange box comes from these highs over here. We're just kind of stuck in this zone right here. And then we've got this, more of it all the way up here. So we may have some trouble getting through these highs right here. 64, 63, 64 could result in a retrace again before we push on up. And that's the list. Looks like I caught up with everybody. And Skaggs, if you're still around, I'll pull it up just for giggles. There you go. We're in the resistance zone right here. We can clear it. Potential up here. If we don't, potential to go deeper. Potentially that's already 5 up complete. This is the dangerous part here. This could already be complete. First move down, retrace, next move down. The cautionary tale there. Now, one of the other theories in LA Wave is that we bottom in the vicinity of the prior wave 4. So there's potential that was it. Potential, I don't know. There you go. All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. Hope you have a great week. I'll be back, same bat time, same bat channel, tomorrow morning, 9:15. We'll hit the list again. We'll see what's cooking. Try to find some opportunities. Maybe ES will provide some clarity. I don't know. Maybe we just hover through the end of the week, like I speculated last week. We have a big opex coming up on Friday. Maybe we just got to hover in this zone right in here. Push it on up. Push it to extremes before we get the down. Maybe there was too much puts bought on the way up. They don't want to rip it until after the monthly opex here on Friday. So we could hover for 3 more days. Push this thing to extreme. Could even get up here a little above. Just opens the door for a bigger retrace. So be careful out there, everybody. We'll see you. We'll see you. Have fun eating food and wine.